Namaste, dear ones. I bow to the love and the light that is absolutely in you. And it is very early here, hence I'm still in my robe and my pajamas. But if you've been following my YouTube channel for a while, you know that when I feel divinely inspired to do a video, I jump on it, right? So I throw spaghetti up against the wall, and if it sticks, it sticks, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I felt compelled to do a video immediately after reading some of the messages in my inbox this morning. I did a video yesterday about the diabolical narcissist, someone who insinuates that you should kill yourself, or that you might trip and fall out a window, that you should be careful, that something bad might happen to them, and everyone would assume that you were drunk if something happened to you, referring to the video that I did yesterday on 4/17/17 about this aspect of narcissistic psychological, emotional, spiritual abuse, where part of the narcissistic discard is that they insinuate that you should kill yourself, or that something terrible is going to happen to you, and everyone is just going to assume that you were drunk, or that you were crazy. And in my opinion, it is all part of a very sinister facet of narcissistic abuse for sure, but also narcissistic discard. And you guys flooded the YouTube thread with, and I was blown away. I'm still being blown away. And this morning, I'm blown away by my inbox, where someone on the YouTube channel commented that her parents, her narc parents, played the grieving parents when her brother committed suicide. And, they were looking for narcissistic supply as grieving parents, but yet, more than likely, if they were really narc, they just ignored this kid, right? And they weren't able to show up for their children. And I'm not saying that's the case with every, oh my God, when suicide takes the life of another person. But when we're talking, when we are able to assess that our parents have narcissistic, they are narcissistic, and they are unable to have empathy for their children, and it is all about them, blah, 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 blah. And we have been narcissistically abused by our parents, and one of our siblings commits suicide or has death by suicide, and we watch our parents turn into these grieving parents for the sake of gaining sympathy. It is a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow as a sibling who's just lost a sibling and knows exactly what's going on at home. This covert abuse, this covert sneakiness, these covert family secrets. Just horrible. And many people have shared that their own parents suggested that they kill themselves. It's just mind-boggling that this is happening. This is not cool, and we have to change this. And part of any change is identifying the change first, right? You can't fix a problem you can't identify. And I always say, you can't patch a hole in the wall you can't see. So the first thing we have to do is begin identifying just how diabolical and sinister this type of language is, how soul-crushing and how spiritually murdering this type of language is. No one should ever speak to you that way. No one should ever make you wonder about, about whether or not they're going to hurt you, or what people are going to think if you get hurt. No, it's got to stop. But the first thing we have to do is identify it as disgusting and diabolical and unacceptable, and then we have to identify that that is actually abusive. So we have to identify that we are in fact being abused. That'll help us detach from the enemy's weapon. So when you understand, oh my God, that should have never come out of her mouth, or oh my God, that should have never come out of his mouth, it helps us create a barrier between us, our inner self, and it being the weapon of choice. Very, very important. I want to read a letter from a YouTube viewer who just wrote me overnight. And she said, "Hello, Lisa. I just watched your video about narcissists and killing yourself, and I feel that I would like to share my story with you. I've been watching your videos for about 3 years now on the heels of joining a forum looking to make friends online. I was naive and desperate to make friends, as I had been a stay-at-home mom and very isolated about 4 years, and being emotionally and physically abused after having my first child. The people in the forum baited me, and at the end of the experience of being humiliated for all that I shared online, they attacked me and told me that I should kill myself because I was codependent along with other cruel things. That was the first time I ever heard the expression codependent. I quickly found your channel and at that time decided it was time to leave to a shelter with my 2 young children. When I turned to my husband for support for my experience on the forum, he didn't believe that it had happened and made me feel like I was crazy, just like my mom used to do. I felt so betrayed and in so much pain emotionally, I felt I had no other option but to leave. I had gone to therapy prior to all of this because I knew something was wrong, but didn't understand that what I was experiencing was abuse. My husband kept making me feel that because I was unhappy, I had to get help. I assumed because my family of origin was so bad that it's almost as if I was blind to abuse when it happened to me. I understood it hurt, but I thought it was normal. My husband and I have been to an excellent therapist, social worker, now for 3 years since that night at the shelter, and we are on our way to being a transitional family unit. He, the social worker, has been a support system and a voice of guidance, almost like a wise father figure for both of us. We have addressed the trauma from my husband's past and sanded down his ego. I too have had to work on my anger issues because Dad never protected me from Mom, and now I direct it at my husband. I find therapy is so misguided, as I have been to a handful looking for help without anyone able to identify abuse and call it for what it is. I feel at times I was re-traumatized. We are on a better track now, taking parenting classes, cutting both sides of our family origin out, and learning new ways of dealing with conflict and emotional needs in each other. I'm surprised at how family of origin and inner child healing is not mainstream for people in the medical field. I am also going back to school in September and have started working again, and I'm getting the goosebumps because I'm so proud of this woman. I am slowly getting my self-esteem back and learning to live an authentic life where I matter too. Bravo! This time I get to study something I genuinely want to learn and work at. This is not how I lived before. I was always revolving around the approval of my parents. It's also good to stay away from toxic people and focus on people who treat me well. Yes. I just wanted to thank you for your wonderful, uplifting channel, Lisa. I appreciate your wisdom and insight. I have downloaded your MP3s and listened to one of your books. I have also read plenty of self-help books relating to narcissism and codependency. I enjoy your meditations. On my journey, I have felt like you were with me since I found your channel, encouraging and guiding me. Love and light to you, dear Lisa. God bless you and keep up the amazing work. Thank you. So, and namaste to this beautiful woman and anybody out here who is experiencing upliftment from this channel. That's what this channel is all about. It's about spreading awareness about what really, really happened so that we can fix the walls or the holes that are in our own souls. You know, we have the ability as human beings to be able to fix ourselves and patch our own holes, but we have to be able to identify them first. And for some freaking reason, you know, we go into therapy many times. I'm not saying all. There are plenty of wonderful therapists out there, but very oftentimes therapists are wounded themselves, and that's why they're actually in the field. They are wounded themselves. They are looking for answers themselves. And God bless them, because eventually, if they keep at it, they will find the answers, because they are such truth seekers. And eventually, all the pieces of the puzzle will come together as they heal, and they'll be able to share their amazing light and their amazing insight, as this YouTuber so poignantly stated. They'll be able to share their insight. But for those of you who, like me, have gone to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 therapists in their lifetime looking for help to help us understand who we are and what's going on in our life, for those of us who have felt re-traumatized, I know I felt re-traumatized. You know, I felt so not understood by a couple of the therapists that I walked out of there thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, if I can't connect to a therapist or a therapist can't connect to me, then it must be me. There must be really something effed up about me. So I really, I wanted to first say that if you were on an online forum, you know, and they start insinuating that you're crazy and that you should just kill yourself, your life doesn't matter, you have attracted yourself to a narcissistic group of people, because anybody online that is encouraging you to kill yourself is not well. Not well. So the minute you feel the tide beginning to turn, it's time to get out. You have to protect yourself, right? So you have to identify abuse for what it is. And lots of times, because as this YouTuber said, when abuse is so much a part of our past, we can't identify it because it's the norm, right? It's the norm. And so part of being an amazing human being, we are divine in nature, is we have a prefrontal lobe. We have the ability to map our brains our way. We have the ability to be logical as well as emotional. And when our brains become congruent, when we become as logical as we are emotional, then we're able to see our realities with different eyes, with wiser eyes. And part of that awakening experience is identifying when we are being abused. And that's what's so awesome about YouTube, what's so awesome about Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, is that those of us who have had these experiences and come through the other end, we have the ability to share our experiences with the world and help you identify when in fact you are being abused. And so yes, if you are not feeling heard, if you are not feeling supported, it's very possible that you're being invalidated. Now, that doesn't mean that people always have to agree with you. I don't expect my husband to always agree with me. It would be nice, but realistically, he is a man. He's got his own mindset. He has his own set of belief systems. They are very similar to my own. But we're not going to absolutely agree on everything. His perception is based on his reality and his history, his memories, his biology, his chemistry. And my perception is based on my history, my neurology, my neural pathways, my belief systems, and so I understand that we're two different people. We have to coexist on a very cohesive plane that is validating and supportive of one another. And it's not supposed to be this, we were always hitting into one another and not supporting one another, right? So this to me is, I can deal with this, but this can't deal with that. So dear ones, if you hear in your life that you are being invalidated or not heard, it is time to reevaluate. Was this your childhood experience? And if it was, know that it's inappropriate. Know that parents are supposed to attune themselves to their children. Know that children need to be validated. It was your right to be validated as a child. But if you were invalidated as a child, that may be your norm, right? It was my norm. I was told I was crazy my whole life. And so when I told my husband, my ex-husband, about what was going on in my life and how I felt, his response was, "You're whacked out. You're crazy. Nobody thinks like you. What's wrong with you? You're so negative." And I thought it must be me. I mean, if my mother talks about me this way and my ex and he talks to me, it must be true. So a mother's love cannot be underappreciated. It is absolutely crucial that every child feel especially connected to, validated, and encouraged and supported and seen by their mother. And if that was not your experience, and even father, but especially mother, in my humble opinion, and if that was not your experience and you were invalidated by one of your parents or both of your parents, you are going to attract the same type of an abuse as an adult. So understand that if you are on an online forum and people are suggesting that you kill yourself, understand that's abusive and you need to go no contact, cut it down, shut it down, and understand that that's abusive. I'm very encouraged and inspired by this woman's story because she set up a boundary and she left, and her husband is actually obviously willing to work on what's going on in their life, and I'm really, really happy that they found an excellent social worker / therapist to work with them. I'm really, really encouraged, really, really happy about that. The other thing that I wanted to address was this idea of being re-traumatized in therapy. It is possible to be re-traumatized in therapy. I had a client tell me that when she went into therapy, she was so angry at her alcoholic husband, and she thought it was a safe place to say, "I'm really angry at him. We're married for 22 years, and he's never shown up for me or the kids because he's an alcoholic. He's drunk, and even when he's sober, he's dismissive. And when he's sober, he's irritable, and when he's sober, he's minimizing me, and I can't. And he doesn't remember the way he abused me when he was, drunk, And when I try to talk about it when he's sober, he tells me that I'm crazy. I mean, the woman has the right to be angry, right? So she goes into therapy, and the therapist says to her, go home and deal with your anger. I can't work with you and your husband unless you deal with that anger. I was like, what? What? This woman was completely invalidated again, re-traumatized again, and essentially told by the therapist, who had no clue how to validate this woman's anger, because she may have been intimidated by the angry husband. I don't know, just saying. She just didn't know how to validate this woman's anger and work through it and to support her. So it is possible to be re-traumatized in therapy. I think it's awesome that we have outlets like YouTube, which help us help one another, right? So, if I were learning to drive a tractor trailer, I would not go to somebody who drove a Volkswagen Beetle for driving lessons. I would want to go to someone who had a tractor trailer driving license, who was very experienced in driving tractor trailers, and who had come through the other side, who had gone from a regular domestic vehicle and who had graduated to being able to drive this massive vehicle on highways and on icy roads. That's where I would go. So that's what YouTube is like. It is a community of people who have something to offer because they have come through the other side of it. So I think it's awesome that this woman found my work. I think it's awesome she understood codependency. I think it's awesome that she goes to these therapy sessions with a certain language to talk about codependency, and that her life is healing. And I just want to encourage all of you to understand that there is absolutely a divine inner child in each and every one of us who may be arrested in some stage of emotional development. And we are so amazing as human beings that we have the ability to connect to a higher self and heal that divine inner child. That is the journey that we are on. That is a process, and it is not an easy one to go through, but it is possible to heal. Go into your therapy sessions knowing that your childhood matters. Your childhood matters, and if you can figure out your childhood, you can figure out your adulthood. At least there you have a standing point. So thank you so much for all of your comments on the video that I did yesterday on the diabolical narcissist. Thank you so much for allowing me to share your stories in this very public way, and thank you so much for connecting to the divine inner child, as well as to this idea that there is an infinite divine intelligence within you, and that there is a light within you, and all you have to do is connect to that light a little bit every day. Believe in yourself, dear one. Believe in yourself, and be willing to go no contact with people who suggest that you are not good enough and that you should kill yourself. That is unacceptable. Recognize it as abusive, because that's what it is. Namaste, dear ones. I bow to the love and light that is absolutely in you.